McLaughlin smashes her world record, 51:46. Dalilah Muhammad, 51:58. Femke Bol, third place, 52:03. And in a nod to Alison Dos Santos for the men's 400 hurdles, breaks what would have been the world record coming into this season, but gets bronze. So we have the three fastest people of all time in one race. And this was spectacular, Gordon. You had Muhammad on the outside of McLaughlin. She got off to a really strong start, led basically the entire way around. Sydney made that push off that last hurdle and had enough to get by. It was tight all the way through. And these two, 4 championship races now over the last 2 years, world record, world record, world record, world record. It's unreal.
When is it going to end? Are we going to keep like normally when you see a world record, you think that's a once in a generation type race. But you rarely see the same two people keep beating up on each other. And every time they beat each other, they're not just beating each other, but they're beating world record all-time marks. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to already tie this to the men's 400 hurdles, but I think there's something about the 400 hurdles these past 5 years that we just I think there's, for some reason, track fans, just the world, society got lucky that all-time great quarter milers decided to put all their efforts into the 400 hurdles. Like, there could have been a road where Sydney, Dalilah, Karsten, Rye just like aren't into the hurdling thing and decide to just put all their talent and try to run fast 400s, try to, be making 400-meter teams, running on the 4x4 and all that stuff. But the fact that they decided to like take that extra effort, realize that they had the skill set to be able to go do this over 10 hurdles. Yeah. It's just incredible. And that's why we're seeing incredible drops in times. You look at this stat I put up. Karsten Warholm was 142nd in the world with his 400 hurdle mark as a flat time. Sydney and Dalilah are both in the top 70 in the 400 meters with their 400 meter hurdle mark compared to other people's flat times. It's incredible. And I think it's just I think this is history just trying to recorrect itself. And now that we have even better, more talented athletes putting more love into the hurdles, we're going to start seeing these marks drop. And also what you need is you can't just have one person do it. You need 2 to 3, because when there's 2 people, you push each other. And basically Sydney is running 51 mid and Dalilah is running 51 mid because the other one exists. They know they need to. If the other one didn't exist, they would be running 52 mid, right? They wouldn't need to push the boundaries to see where they could go. And Dalilah is just as responsible for this incredible race as much as Sydney is. And it's kind of wild to just project Sydney's future because she's 10 years younger than Dalilah. She's like 21. And a prime runner is like, what, 22 to 26? So Sydney has yet to even enter a prime. It's incredible. It's mind-boggling.
And also the presence of Bol there, because she was in the mix too. So that first 300 meters, especially, it was a real tight battle. When Muhammad was out there, Sydney had someone around her. Yeah, I was watching that race and I wasn't surprised that their world record went down, which is the best compliment I think you could give to people in this race. 51:46. Am I a little bit surprised by that? Yeah, I am. Like, that's a huge drop in time after 51:90 because they went toe to toe in Eugene, high pressure situation, what we think is a fast track in Eugene, and they take a big chunk off the world record. But then they go and then they do it again just a couple months later. That's what's the stunning part of this thing. And I think your point about yesterday, about Warholm being in front of Benjamin, right? I think it was the same situation here with Muhammad being in front. I think it just pulled everybody around to a quicker time. But this thing was close. This thing was in doubt. I mean, with 100 to go, were you thinking Sydney had it that last 100, and were you surprised when 51:46 popped up?
It's crazy. I wasn't. I thought I was like, we're gonna see something fast. I had
Mm-hmm.
after watching the men do it. I know that they're not connected in any way possible, but I just had this feeling of these vibes that we're just going to continue to see fast marks. And so 51:46, I was like, yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be not a 51:89 or 51:9 right near the world record. I was like, no, they're just gonna go crazy. Because in the end, US trials is a world record, but it's still just a qualifying race. It's still just be top 3.
Mm. Yeah.
Like in the end of the day, I don't think Dalilah is going to lose sleep over getting second at USA's the way she would getting second at the Olympics. So they, as much as the world record was incredible at the trials, they weren't pushing themselves clearly because they could go a whole almost half second faster.
I remember when the first time this record was broken in this era, and it was Des Moines 2019, and Muhammad, won somewhat comfortably over Sydney there, but Sydney ran a great time to finish second. And I talked to Muhammad's coach after the race, Boogie Johnson, and I did the same thing that most people do. It's like you pick the next barrier, right? Okay, is sub 52 possible? And he's like, yeah, it's 100% possible. Like that's something that is on our radar for sure. Which now it seems like such a dumb question on my part because they've knocked a half a second off of 52. It's not even close. It's not as if 51:90 was the end of this era's progression. It's like you took it down a whole other notch here when you go 51 mid. To continue the parallels though, this is really interesting. So you have obviously the world record getting smashed. You have the presence of the rival. You have the third place person either being the luckiest or unluckiest, depending on how you look at it, third place finisher in history. So, but I went back, Gordon, like going into 2019, before the men's world record went down and before the women's world record went down for the first time by Muhammad. And I looked at the times going in, like just to see the percent improvement. So basically 46.78 for the men down to 45.94. And for the women, when it was 52.3 down to 51.46. And this is crazy. The men improved the record 1.79%, and the women improved it 1.68%. So extremely close. Like the level of improvement from the old record, which for the men, went back a while. For the women, it was a pretty old record as well too. But the percent improvement was pretty much right in line too. So these two, they're close to like mirror images of each other in a way. The one difference, the one nod I'll give to the women's race for sure is just the back and forth nature of it. And the fact that because they're both Americans, we see them at least 2 times against each other. And now we've seen them collaborate on 4 world records in 4 championship races.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm almost lost for it. It's like you don't know what else to add to it. I can just add my personal thing is I won a few bucks because Muhammad beat Bull and I had minus 118. So I won $85. So my journey to not lose money looked good after this 400-meter hurdles.
Yeah, all time, Muhammad 6, McLaughlin 4, and this is where I really love the fact that we're going to have a world championship next year, the year after, and then an Olympics. Because if they keep going, it's going to be special. And the presence of Bull there, who's also in the very, very early stages of her career, she runs 52.0. What does she think's possible now, right? She didn't grow up thinking sub 52 was this mythical thing. Now she thinks sub 52 is what she needs to do to get a gold medal. So just the whole mindset of the event has changed over the last 2 years, and especially this past year.
So here's the question I have for you. Obviously, while Sydney was on her up and coming, she was a 16-year-old at the Olympics. Dalilah was the one winning the Olympic medals. Dalilah was the one breaking the world records first. She did it twice, I believe, right? And Sydney was kind of just always in the rearview mirror, be like, I'm the next one in line because obviously Dalilah's 10 years older. Now that we've seen this whole season, we see back-to-back world record races where now Sydney comes up on top.
Mm-hmm.
So Sydney's kind of like on a little mini win streak against Dalilah. Do you think Dalilah will ever beat Sydney again? Assuming Sydney's like healthy, right? So, but like, do you think we're gonna go back and forth, or do you think now because of the age gap and Sydney now just entering her prime, the odds of Dalilah ever getting back to being in front of Sydney are slim to none, or do you think this is gonna be back and forth, back and forth?
I think she can beat her again. I mean, she lost by 0.14, and then she beat her own PB by over a half second. She's still getting better. I think that Eugene race would have been really interesting if Muhammad had a better buildup. We know she had COVID, tore her hamstring. So, no, I mean, I would say McLaughlin is the favorite moving forward, but do you see how close it was coming off that last hurdle? I mean, this was not a blowout by any means. It wasn't as close. What was the margin in Doha? Travis, can you pull up the margin in Doha? It was closer.
It was bigger.
Than
I think it was bigger.
No,
Doha,
I thought
right?
world champ. There you go, 52.23 to no, it was 0.07. It was 0.07
Okay.
in Doha, and this was 0.12. So we've seen them race and be closer to one another. But yeah, 100%. To answer your question, 100%. I think Muhammad can win again. I think McLaughlin will rightfully be the favorite going into 22, but I think she can for sure win again because 10th here, a 10th there. She's right back. She's right back in this thing. What do you think?
I think it's over. I think Sydney's gonna just win every time. I think this was Dalilah's last kind of opportunity to kind of hold on to that mantle, and I think that opportunity is gonna be gone. Sydney's not getting any younger.
Yeah, but
not getting any older. She's gonna be 20. I just if Sydney stays healthy and Dalilah, I just don't see a situation where Sydney digresses, and I think Sydney's gonna run faster. Like I think she can run. I mean, I could say in 4 years, if she keeps on staying healthy and she's focused on this event, I can see a 50.99. Like, why not? If we're able to see the world record get smashed this much, I could see it happening again. They're just figuring out a ways to be as efficient as possible going over these hurdles. And if Sydney is like a flat 48 low, what is, does she need? I think she could get over 10 barriers with the extra 3 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
you just turned her into a 48 low 400-meter run. You're making a lot of assumptions here. Here's one assumption I'll make. I'm not going to count out someone who runs 51.5 in the 400 hurdles.
true.
I'm not going to do that. She's run 51.5, and again, you put down the caveat of like health. It's like, yeah, obviously if there's some sort of massive injury where you miss a championship or you have no buildup, that's going to change things. But little hiccups along the way are natural when it comes to the sport and at this level. So there's no guarantee that everybody's build-up's going to be perfect, and we saw that with Muhammad this year. So if a similar type of issue crops up for Sydney in the future, which is possible, and she's not at 100%, but she's at 98%. You've already seen how solid Muhammad is. I don't know how many years she wants to keep doing it. A question that I always have in my mind, and you have this question too, because you'd love to talk about people switching events, is will Sydney in the future, and if she does, when would it be, go try a different event? Would she be interested in that? Does it represent a new challenge for her? Or does she feel like, hey, this is my calling here, and I'm going to stick in the 400-meter hurdles for the entirety of my career?
Yeah, you broke up a bit on your little rant for me, so I'm just going to take what you said and agree.
Good, I was right. Hey, one other thing on this race. Did you watch the post-race interview with Sydney? Did you hear the first thing that she said?
Did you say trust the process?
The first 3 words out of her mouth, but trust the process. So there you go.
She's a big
There
Joel
you go.
Embiid fan. That's what I hear.